If you guys have been hearing the news, the layoffs are starting to happen as the Fed is trying to increase the interest rates to lower the inflation, and part of this is inducing unemployment. So if you've been one of our clients who works in the tech field and you've seen your salary skyrocket over the last decade or so, the tables are now turning. Employers are starting to quiet fire people, or as we've seen with Elon, a little bit more on the progressive. He's outright told people, hey, you don't want to work here, you don't want to put in the overtime effort, then you need to leave. But hey, from my point of view, this can be a little bit of a blessing in disguise, as many of you guys are getting possible severance packages. From the discussions I talk with a lot of investors who have been investing in alternative investments, a lot of people say, I'm 3 to 5 years away, or if I can just get one nice lump sum of cash. So the one good thing about being fired from your job is you don't have the income. Of course, that's a bad thing because you don't have the income, but for a temporary time, it can be very good.
What I have here is the 2024 federal income tax brackets. We live in a progressive tax system. So based on where your income falls, you pay that corresponding tax rate to the left. In other words, so we don't leave anybody behind, just because you make $400,000 putting you in this 32% tax bracket doesn't mean you pay 32% on everything. You have from 0 to 23,000 paying 10% and 23,000 to 94,000 paying 12%. Now that we're all on the same page, and I'm glad you don't have to watch a really basic YouTube video on all of that alone, let's move forward. So I'm going to be talking a lot from the perspective of married folks because most of our clients are in couples. But if you're single, sorry, we don't offer any type of dating services in the Wealth Elevator quite yet. But if you come to the retreat, maybe there's something there. Who knows? We do a retreat in Hawaii every single year. But you guys can look on that first column if you're a single filer there. But $383,000 is a red line right below it. And because I put that there, I signifying that there's quite a bit gap if you're taking a look at the tax rates going from the 24 to the 32% range. When you're below that, the graduated progressive taxes isn't that steep. But when you cross that line, it gets a lot more steeper. Is why I circle that. Say you lose your job and you lose out on maybe half of the year's income. That's gonna suck, right? But to make lemonade out of lemons here, what that will do is will likely drop your annual income down. So maybe you were making $450,000 previously, putting you into that 32% tax bracket. But because you didn't work as much that year, you went down to $200,000 a year that year. Sure, you have to count for severances there, which could be a great thing. But this might be a time where temporarily for that year, your adjusted gross income might be $200,000, putting you into 22% range. And this might be a prime opportunity for you to take out $183,000 to put you right up to that 24% tax bracket. Now, this is something that not a lot of people talk about because we're all taught to blindly put our money into 401ks, IRAs, other qualified retirement plans. But if you follow a lot of our content, it may or may not make sense for you to put your money into those types of vehicles. What we find from a lot of our older clients who've been misled and put a lot of money maxing out their 401ks is they have way too much money into that qualified retirement plan bucket and they want to get it out of there to invest in alternative investments, but namely getting the tax benefits for that earlier, which you get when you invest through real estate. If this is new to you, check out our info page at thewealthelevator.com/tax to learn more about these alternative tax strategies. When I was a working W-2 engineer, I was duped to invest in the standard 401k options and through my IRA or 401k. Don't do what I did. If you're able to project where your income is going to fall for the rest of the year, you may have some, I'll use an engineering term here, freeboard here to take you up to that next tax bracket for a great opportunity for you to leak money out of your 401k or IRAs at that point. Because when you take money out of those qualified retirement plan accounts, you realize it as income and it makes your income goes up. When you're laid off, it might be a great year for you to take these types of monies out of these retirement accounts at that point. And secondly, when you leave an employer and you have a 401k with them, whatever you do, do not roll it over into the new employer's 401k, at least not yet. right? Think of these tax strategies. Book a call with myself. We can talk about your individual situation. Check out some of the free coaching calls that we have on this YouTube channel because this theme comes up again and again. And hey, if you're leaving and you're getting fired, might be a great opportunity to finally jailbreak that 401k and get that money out of there where you don't have that flexibility when you're still with that employer.
Now, this whole concept is very similar to what we'll do with a lot of our clients who maybe you have a dual working spouse, but then kids come in the picture and somebody stops working and goes down to part-time. Perfect opportunity. That's the sort of voluntary piece in your AGI, your income. Whereas opposed to we're talking about the earlier example of you losing your job, that's more involuntary. Either way, your AGI is lower, so it's an opportunity for you to lower your income. And if you're also able to couple that with a real estate professional status strategy, now you can open the door to maybe using that to dropping your income down to zero, like a lot of our investors do with the rep status, where they use all these passive losses from bonus depreciation from syndication deals to offset their passive income, of course, but also offset their ordinary income that they have. Many people in our group do this. And what's important to do is you have to unfortunately coach a lot of your CPAs, your tax service folks on how you're doing this. That's really where our ecosystem comes into play. Just to recap, what's the action plan here? First, don't get super bummed out. A lot of you guys have good paying jobs and you have very serviceable skills that you can use elsewhere. Maybe take it as an opportunity to jailbreak some of that money out of your retirement accounts. Or maybe if it's in your retirement accounts, you want to keep it in your retirement accounts, you want to do like a 401k IRA conversion to Roth, which would create it as taxable income at that point. Now's the time to do it while your AGI is temporarily lower for the time. You're going to have to plan ahead in a little bit. Nobody said this stuff was easy, but it is very simple in my opinion, especially when you apply our kind of format. So that's the first one. Take the severance and also take a time to regroup. And there's not many times in your adult life where you get the opportunity to pause and refocus. And a perfect time if you've recently gotten laid off, come out to Hawaii in January for an annual retreat. Check us out there. And then that's where you get around other high net worth or credit investors who are thinking this way, as opposed to the way your coworkers are thinking with the whole 401k, pay your house down. Secondly, rep status, that can also be an opportunity. Maybe either instead of going back to another high paid job, maybe change things up a little bit, get an easier job, maybe go part-time, maybe your spouse goes part-time to build up that real estate professional status. If you have any questions, drop it in the comment box below and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Going through this whole transition myself, it was really hard to do it without meeting other purely passive accredited investors out there. So that's why we've created the network, which you guys can join.